Now, after covering the paleoanthropology, now we are moving towards biological anthropology. Later, we will cover the sociocultural anthropology. Now, before beginning of our biological core biological anthropology and genetics, the concept of the genetics, we need to understand some basics of it. That is where first we will be covering 1.7, which is biological basis of life. Under this, see, exam perspective say the subject or the entire unit is not so important, because in the past, let's say 10-12 years, there was only one question from this segment. That too, they asked it on protein synthesis. Apart from that, no question, extra question on this. But the concepts that we learn here, such as DNA and its structure, the replication of the DNA, mutations, different types of mutations, chromosomes, the categorization of the chromosomes, and protein synthesis, of course, the cell and its various compounds or components, then cell division, all these things are going to help us in understanding the coming topics. For example, in order to understand the chromosomal aberrations, you need to have a knowledge of chromosomes, their structures, and what kind of errors can happen in them, and the karyotyping of the chromosomes, at least human chromosomes, then the errors that happen during the cell division. So for this purpose, we need to understand it. In this particular session, we will cover some of the basic concepts, and rest of them we will cover it in another session. So today we will be covering the very first topic, that is DNA, and that is the cell, then DNA structure and its replication and protein synthesis. So the learning objective for this particular session is, first we'll understand what is cell, what are the various components of the cell and their function. Then we will look at the differentiation of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, single cell and unicellular organisms में जो cells होते हैं. Then we will look at the plant cell and animal cell and the differences between them. Then we will enter into the concept of DNA, where do we find it, what is the structure of it, and how it gets replicated. Then we will look at the protein synthesis, and rest of the topics like gene, mutations, chromosomes, and cell division, we'll cover it in another session. So beginning with the cell. So here we will understand what is a cell, what is its basic functionality, what are the various components within this. So please आपका notes में heading रख लो the cell. Parallelly, I'll also dictate you the notes so that the notes dictation and writing of it continues. ठीक है? See, first, what is a cell? This is the fundamental structural, functional, and biological unit. See, 3 points we are highlighting: structural, functional, biological unit. It is the fundamental biological unit for all the organisms, be it single cellular organisms or multicellular organisms. You find cells in them, and these small cells combined together, they give the structure to it. Okay, so that's the reason why they are also fundamental with respect to the structure of an organism. Plus they also have individually, they can have the different functions. So in order to perform different functions, each cell is coded with that information to perform that function. So basically it is a fundamental functional unit as well. So that's the reason why we are highlighting it is the fundamental structural, functional, biological block or unit which is found in all living organisms. Okay, please write. The fundamental structural, functional, and biological unit of all living organisms is known as cell. See, इस side में जो image दिख रहा है, this is the cross section of this cell, you can say. ठीक है, and there are various components within it, like you can see mitochondria, nucleus, then there is endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, गोल्गी apparatus, cytoplasm, etc., membrane. ये सारे we will discuss what are these and what is the function of these in the coming slides. ठीक है? So this is what a cell is. Next, please write. Robert Hooke was the first biologist to discover the cells. Full stop. Continue कर लीजिए. They are mainly divided into see division different तरीके का है. एक है depending upon the number. So in some organisms you find only single cells. Such organisms or such cells we call them as unicellular or single cellular. In some organisms there might be more than one cells and many of the organisms are multicellular. So they are called, yes, multicellular organisms. ठीक है, that is one categorization. दूसरा categorization is all the life form can be categorized into two categories. One is flora, another one is fauna. Flora means all the plants. So the stream or the science which deals with all the plants is called botany, and the science or stream which deals with all fauna or animals is called zoology. Simple, we have studied about it while studying the life sciences. Biology, again you can segregate it into, bio means life, so life forms two categories, one is plants, another one is animals. The one which studies about the plants is botany, the one which studies about the animals is zoology. So on that basis cells again can be divided into animal cells and plant cells. ठीक है, so please write next point में लिख लो. Based on number the cells can be divided into, मतलब organism, based on the number of cells in the organism they can be divided into unicellular, unicellular, इसी को हम प्रोकार्योराइट्स बोलते हैं. ठीक है, अब चाहिए तो प्रोकार्योटिक सेल्स ऐसे ब्रैकेट में लिख लीजिए. देन देयर इज मल्टीसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म, इनको हम क्या बोलते हैं, यूकारियोटिक, यूकारियोटिक सेल्स कहते हैं. ये कोई एक differentiation. Another one in the next page, next point, please write. Further cells can also be divided into number one, animal cells, ब्रैकेट में लिख लीजिए, फाउंड इन animals. बाद में देखेंगे what is the difference between an animal cell and plant cell. Then second, plant cells, they are found in plants. Simple. Now what are the characteristics of a cell, what functions it does, and what are the unique characteristics of a cell. सब heading लिख लो, characteristics of cell. सबसे फर्स्ट पॉइंट, it provides structure and support to the body of an organism. That is the reason why we are calling it as structural unit, fundamental structural unit. Say suppose if we have बाद में देखेंगे cellular theory, even in the evolution also we will see, organic evolution theories में भी देखेंगे. Say for example cells, these cells combine together, they form tissues. Now tissues combine together, they form different organs. Now organs combine together, they form different systems. Systems combine together when they perform in the coordinated manner, that will give rise to an organism. So ultimately each and every organism can be like broken down to the fundamental units that are cells. So that's where we are going back to that smaller blocks. So please write, cells provide structure and support to the body of an organism. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, the interior of cell is organized into different organelles मतलब सेल के अंदर ये सारे जो भी है, these are all together we are calling them as organelles. ठीक है, so please write the interior of cell organized into different organelles surrounded by a separate membrane. Later we will see what is that membrane is called. ठीक है, a separate membrane. Next point. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, द न्यूक्लियस is the major organelle and it holds all the information, all the genetic information लिख लीजिए, because this information can be passed on. This is a heritable information. मतलब one organism to their progeny, their offsprings के लिए it can be passed on. That's why. ठीक है, the nucleus is the major organelle that holds genetic information necessary for reproduction and cell growth. Necessary for reproduction and cell growth. And this nucleus and organelles, ठीक है, they are all present in a, you can say, jelly like substance which is called cytoplasm. ठीक है, so please write next point में लिख लीजिए, every cell has a nucleus and membrane bound organelles in cytoplasm. Now this cell, say if it is to perform these many functions, it requires energy. So there are energy houses in this cell. They are called mitochondria. ठीक है, प्लीज नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, mitochondria is responsible for all the energy transactions, vital for the survival of the cell. It's okay, energy is now provided. What about the waste that is created within the cell? Sometimes some parts or some organelles within the cell can die. So we need to have some sort of mechanism to remove that waste. That mechanism is provided by lysosomes. So if any unwanted material within the cell is present, that will be digested by these lysosomes, and that will be later the waste will be excreted. ठीक है, प्लीज राइट नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, lysosomes digest unwanted materials in the cell. Unwanted material in the cell. Apart from that, there is another apparatus which is called endoplasmic reticulum. It plays an important role in the internal organization of the cell by synthesizing selective molecules and processing them, directing them, sorting them, मतलब उनको rank करना according to the need. their locations, their sorting, their production will be regulated by it. ठीक है, प्लीज राइट. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम plays a significant role, plays a significant role. अभी फिलहाल के लिए इतना लिख लो, इन द इंटरनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ दिस सेल, इतना लिख लो, बाकी फंक्शंस में आई विल टेल यू लेटर. ठीक है, इन द इंटरनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ दिस सेल. So when all these organelles work together along with the nucleus, where the genetic information related to the functions, related to the reproduction is coded, all together when they work, and there are such billions of cells within the body, and all of them work coordinatedly, that's when you get a living organism performing different functions. ठीक है, look at humans itself. How many different types of functions are there within us? Respiratory system is one. Then there is circulatory system. There is digestive system. There is nervous system. There is reproductive system. ऐसे different systems. Locomotory systems. ठीक है, ऐसे different systems are there. And for all of them, we have different cells which are coded for that information. So these are the characteristics of cells. Now, types of cells. As I told you, we can broadly classify them based on the number into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are unicellular or single cells. Eukaryotes are multicellular ones. ठीक है, and there are some basic differences between them. In case of prokaryotes, see, look at this. The nucleus is not separated. ठीक है, it is within the cytoplasm itself. ठीक है, whereas in case of multicellulars, there is again nucleus is separated by nuclear membrane. वो nuclear membrane यहाँ पर lacking होता है. ऐसे different points पे हम differentiate कर सकते हैं. Let us look at them. So आप एक subheading लिख लो, prokaryotes versus eukaryotes, or prokaryotic versus eukaryotic cells, and make a table as well, like whatever we are saying it. 3 column table बना लो. एक साइड पे characteristics लेंगे, and based on that characteristics we will compare both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. ठीक है, so please make the table as it is, like 3 column वाला table बना लो. ठीक है, लोअर क्लासेस में पढ़ा होगा. यहां पर characteristics लेंगे, यहां पर let's say we'll talk about eukaryotes, and यहाँ पर prokaryotes, prokaryotic cells. First definition, characteristic definition. So prokaryotic क्या है? Simply unicellular organism that does not contain a membrane bound nucleus. So यहाँ पर nucleus जो है, it is not bound, it is well merged within the cytoplasm itself. Whereas in case of eukaryotes, you have well-defined nucleus with a membrane-bound nucleus, you can say. ठीक है, so please write first point में लिख लो definition. यहाँ पर any cell that contains a clearly defined nucleus, eukaryotic में लिखना है, defined nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. membrane bound organelles. Other side पे लिख लो. So generally we have multi cellular organism of this type. ठीक है, whereas in case of prokaryotes it is unicellular. Please write any unicellular organism इस side पे, any unicellular organism that does not contain a membrane bound न्यूक्लियस और ऑर्गेनेल्स. किस में मिलता है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल हायर लाइफ फॉर्म्स लाइक प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स, फंगाई, इन सब चीज में जो मल्टी सेल्स मिलते हैं, दे आर ऑल यूकारियोटिक. वेयर एज बैक्टीरिया, वायरसेस, आर्किया, ऐसे वाला जो लोअर फॉर्म्स है, माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म वगैरह, देयर वी फाइंड द प्रोकारियोटिक सेल्स. ठीक है, प्लीज एग्जाम्पल में लिख लो. इस साइड लिख लो ऑल एनिमल्स, प्लांट्स, एटसेट्रा, एंड दिस साइड बैक्टीरिया. एंड व्हाट अबाउट न्यूक्लियस? See, nucleus मतलब well defined nucleus, well membrane bound nucleus is present in the eukaryotes, whereas in case of prokaryotes it's not present as a separate unit, separate organelle के जैसे नहीं है, it's mixed within the cytoplasm itself. So इस तरीके से लिख लो, न्यूक्लियस यहां पर लिख लीजिए प्रेजेंट ब्रैकेट में मेम्ब्रेन बाउंड, और दूसरा साइड पे लिख लीजिए एब्सेंट. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट सेल साइज की बात करते हैं तो यू मे हैव लाइक लिटिल लार्जर सेल्स हियर, बट दीज आर वेरी स्मॉल. ठीक है, लेस देन माइक्रोमीटर आर सो, उतना लेवल पे मिलता है. अब रेंज लिखने की जरूरत नहीं, सिंपली राइट सेल साइज, यहाँ पर लार्ज एंड यहाँ पर स्मॉल. दीज आर सिंगल सेलुलर, दीज आर मल्टी सेलुलर, ऑब्वियसली जो मेनी होंगे दैट विल बी बिगर साइज. ठीक है, सिंपल. सो इस साइड लिख लो सेल साइज में लार्ज एंड स्मॉल. नेक्स्ट डीएनए रेप्लिकेशन. We have not studied about it, we will study today itself, but please write DNA replication. इसमें लिख लो highly regulated with selective origins and sequences. Even यहाँ पर different enzymes and the bifurcation fork of the DNA, and then the way DNA another strand like off of the strand will be replicated. How it is replicated, everything is highly regulated. There are different enzymes which come at a no appropriate time and facilitate in the replication of the DNA. ठीक है. Whereas in case of prokaryotes, that is single cellular organisms, it replicates entire genome at a time at once. ठीक है. So please write, ये वाला लिख लो, highly regulated with selective origins and sequences. So वहां पर different enzymes, DNA polymerase, then primase, ऐसे वहां से लेकर ligase तक different enzymes in a systematic sequence में आते हैं. वो अपना अपने हिसाब से जो काम करना है वो करके आपको replicate करके करेंगे DNA. But it is at once, immediately it happens. ठीक है, यहां पर लिख लो replicates entire genome at once. Now organism type, generally multicellular here, and here it is unicellular. And if we talk about chromosomes, we will be having multiple chromosomes, more than one generally, and here there is one long single loop of DNA and plastids. ठीक है, यहां पर ऐसे लिख लो more than one, and here one long single loop of DNA and plasmids. Next, ribosomes. See, multicellulars में यूकारियोट्स में बड़ा वाला होंगे एंड प्रोकारियोट्स में छोटा होगा. ठीक है. और ग्रोथ रेट की बात करते हैं, द बैक्टीरिया वायरसेस वगैरह जो है दे ग्रो एट ए फास्टर रेट. ठीक है. दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई इनफैक्ट इन जनरेशन ऑफ द वैक्सीन्स इन रिकॉम्बिनेंट जेनेटिक्स वगैरह जो है वहां पर वी प्रेफर दिस बैक्टीरिया एंड ऑल टू generate large amounts of quantities of either hormones or desired genes, because they have better ability to multiply, reproduce at a faster time. ठीक है. So their reproduction in them or growth in them is faster in case of prokaryotes, and in case of eukaryotes it's slower. And if we talk about other organelles, they are well defined and present. In case of here, they are clubbed within the cytoplasm. That's why we are saying absent. ठीक है. So please write organelles. Here it is present, here it is absent. Now बाकी सब देखो, hereditary, of course both of them stores the information related to the hereditary. All eukaryotes as well as prokaryotes, they have the ability to store, so don't have to write it. Cell wall, see generally cell wall कहाँ पर मिलेगा? Plants and fungi में मिलता है, multicellular में, and that is also simple. Whereas in case of eukaryotes, it is also present in some prokaryotes. I said eukaryote, sorry, prokaryotes. It is present in some prokaryotes, but it is little difficult, the structure, and this one is little complex one. ठीक है. So cell wall, in case of plants it is present, in case of fungi it is present, but in case of animals it is not present. ठीक है. We'll see what is cell wall. जो आउटर लेयर होता है एक्स्ट्रा प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करने के लिए, वो वाला, वो एनिमल सेल्स में नहीं मिलता है, बट प्लांट सेल्स में दैट इज प्रेजेंट, ठीक है। इट इज मेड अप ऑफ सेल्यूलोज. In case of prokaryotes, in some prokaryotes you can find it, and the structure and everything is little complex one. Plasma membrane is also present and cytoplasm is also present. No need to write about them. So these are the basic differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Is that clear, everyone? Those who are in the live, please give me confirmation. So when I'm in this mode, please tell me with your voice, like enable your voice and give me the confirmation. Now, having understood the types of the cells, let us look at the structure of this cell. Then later we will distinguish between plant cell and animal cell. Without understanding different components of this cell, we can't go and understand plant cell and animal cells differences. So better let us understand the cell structure, different organelles within this cell. See, organelles मतलब compounds जो इसके अंदर है, ठीक है, और उनका फंक्शन क्या है, उनका रोल क्या है, उनको समझते हैं. देन वी विल एंटर एंड अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंस बिटवीन प्लांट सेल एंड एनिमल सेल. सो हेडिंग रख लीजिए, सेल स्ट्रक्चर. सेल स्ट्रक्चर. सो प्लीज राइट, द सेल कंसिस्ट ऑफ थ्री प्रिंसिपल components. Three principal components. They are, number one, plasma membrane, और यू कैन कॉल सेल मेम्ब्रेन एज वेल, ठीक है. मेम्ब्रेन मतलब ये जो बाहर का लेयर है, यहां पर सेल मेम्ब्रेन करके लिखा हुआ है, दिस वन, ठीक है, आउटर लेयर. नेक्स्ट, सेकेंड, साइटोप्लाज्म. साइटोप्लाज्म, सी साइटोप्लाज्म मतलब दिस इज ए काइंड ऑफ जेली लाइक सब्सटेंस which is spread all over the cell, within which you find nucleus and other organelles. It's that substance, यहां पर लिखा हुआ है, ये पूरा सब्सटेंस को साइटोप्लाज्म कहते हैं. We will understand about that as well elaborately. Then third major component within the cell is nucleus, ठीक है. यहां पर ये जो है, this is nucleus, ठीक है. So यहां पर लिखा हुआ है, देखो ये वाला पोर्शन, ठीक है. This is also covered with another membrane which is called nucleus membrane, ठीक है. ये वाला पोर्शन को न्यूक्लियस बोलते हैं. एंड विद इन द सेल दिस इज द बिगेस्ट कंपोनेंट, ठीक है. नाउ ऑल ऑफ देम कंबाइंड टुगेदर, लाइक न्यूक्लियस, साइटोप्लाज्म एंड सेल मेम्ब्रेन कंबाइंड टुगेदर, वी कॉल इट एज प्रोटोप्लाज्म. नाउ विद इन दिस लेट अस टेक वन बाय वन एंड एनालाइज इट्स रोल एंड नो अबाउट क्लियरली अबाउट इट, ठीक है. सो सबसे फर्स्ट सब हेडिंग लिख लो. सी डायग्राम भी बनाना है, डायग्राम लेटर, लाइक आफ्टर राइटिंग अबाउट एवरीथिंग, एट द एंड वी विल ड्रॉ द डायग्राम, ठीक है. सो प्लीज पुट द सब हेडिंग सेल मेम्ब्रेन. सेल मेम्ब्रेन, इट इज आल्सो कॉल्ड प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन, ठीक है. सेल मेम्ब्रेन, इसके बारे में लिखते हैं वन बाय वन. प्लीज राइट पैरेलली, आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट. इट सपोर्ट्स एंड प्रोटेक्ट्स द सेल. से आउटर वॉल की तरह है ये, ठीक है. सो इट प्रोटेक्ट्स दी वॉल, इट प्रोवाइड्स यू एक्स्ट्रा प्रोटेक्शन. सो प्लीज राइट, इट सपोर्ट्स एंड प्रोटेक्ट्स दी सेल. से ये एक सेलेक्टिव मेम्ब्रेन है. सेलेक्टिव मेम्ब्रेन, वाई वी आर कॉलिंग इट एज सेलेक्टिव मेम्ब्रेन. सी इसके अंदर कुछ पोर्स होते हैं, पोर्स मतलब होल्स के जैसे, and these pores only allow certain substances movement in a regulated manner. Either it may allow from outside the cell to inside the cell, or from inside the cell to outside the cell, and it is done selectively, and that selective filtration or selective movement is facilitated by this membrane. That's the reason why we are calling it as a selective membrane. See यहाँ पर लिखा हुआ है, देखो, it is a porous membrane, that is with pores, which permits movement of selective substances in and out of this cell. So overall it controls the movement of these substances in and out of the cell, ठीक है. So please write, it is a it is a selective membrane. It is a selective membrane with pores which controls the movement of substances, the movement of substances इन एंड आउट ऑफ दिस सेल। मान लो सेल के अंदर कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोटीन या कुछ चीजें प्रोड्यूस हुआ है, दैट हैज टू बी sent to different other parts of the body, so this will allow movement of that particular substance from within the cell to outside. Similarly, outside the body you have taken some food, that energy, that food has to come to the cell, to the mitochondria, so that it can process it and convert it into energy. So it has to allow that transfer of it. So such selective movements will be controlled by the cell membrane. ठीक है, that's the reason why we are also calling it as a regulatory membrane for movements. ठीक है, next point में लिख लीजिए, it is present in all cells. ठीक है, देखा था ना, प्रोकारियोट्स, यूकारियोट्स, animal cells and plant cells. See, animal cells and plant cells, both of them are eukaryotic types, but within them also certain differences are there. ठीक है, हर एक सेल में ये प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन और सेल मेम्ब्रेन मिलता है आपको. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, इट कवर्स ऑल अदर ऑर्गेनेल्स, इट कवर्स ऑल अदर ऑर्गेनेल्स सच एज न्यूक्लियस, साइटोप्लाज्म. नाउ साइटोप्लाज्म के अंदर जितने भी ऑर्गेनेल्स है, लेट्स से Golgi apparatus are there, then you have endoplasmic reticulum, you have ribosomes, you have lysosomes, you have vacuoles, all of them, mitochondria, everything is within the cytoplasm. And cytoplasm को cover कर रहा है, मतलब ये सारे organelles को cover कर रहा है. So it's kind of a sac, it's kind of a bag which encloses each and everything that is present within the cell. ठीक है, that's why it is also sometimes referred as plasma membrane. ठीक है, so this is all about cell membrane or plasma membrane and function of it. Now let us move to the next one, that is cytoplasm. ठीक है, please put the heading cytoplasm. इसमें लिख लीजिए, it is a thick, clear and jelly-like substance present inside the cell membrane. See, the outer line, ये orange वाला line जो है, this is what cell membrane is. ठीक है, and within this cell membrane you have another like light orange color here, this filling, ये पूरा filling जो है, this is the substance we are talking about. It's a very clear and jelly like substance. ठीक है, later we will see the 3D models of this cell, there I'll show you. In this jelly like substance you have all the organelles including the bigger one, that is the nucleus. ठीक है, so please write present inside the cell membrane, full stop. इसी में नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, it makes up most of the body of the cell, मतलब volumetrically it contributes to the great amount. ठीक है, it makes up most of the body of the cell and most of chemical reactions, इसी में लिख लो, most of chemical reactions takes place in this cytoplasm. This is our point of discussion now. Next point में लिख लीजिए, all the cell organelles such as nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, both rough and smooth, दोनों. ठीक है, vacuoles etc. are suspended in this cytoplasm, are suspended, मतलब साइटोप्लाज्म के अंदर इधर उधर बिखरा हुआ है, इसी के अंदर है. ठीक है, that's the meaning of it, suspended in this cytoplasm. Done, लिख लिया. Now we can enter into the next one, the next important one, that is nucleus. ठीक है, please put the subheading nucleus. So now the point of discussion is this, that is इसके अंदर जो ऑरेंज में enclosed portion है, ये वाला. ठीक है, it is in prokaryotes, it is not bound within the membrane, so there is no nucleus membrane. ये साइटोप्लाज्म में बिखरा रहेगा इधर उधर. Whereas in case of eukaryotes, it has a well defined membrane, so it is again enclosed within a सेल मेम्ब्रेन, ठीक है, न्यूक्लियस मेम्ब्रेन कहते हैं उसको, ठीक है। सो प्लीज राइट, it is the largest organelle in the cell. It is the largest organelle in the cell and is surrounded by membrane. ब्रैकेट में लिख लीजिए इन यूकारियोट्स, ठीक है, इन यूकारियोट्स इट इज सराउंडेड बाय सेल मेम्ब्रेन, ब्रैकेट में इन यूकारियोट्स। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए इट कंटेन्स द हेरिडिटरी मटेरियल, मतलब जनरेशन आफ्टर जनरेशन द इंफॉर्मेशन पासेस थ्रू दिस, ठीक है, इट कंटेन्स दैट कोडेड इंफॉर्मेशन, ठीक है, हेरिडिटरी मटेरियल ऑफ द सेल, दैट इज डीएनए। विल स्टडी अबाउट डीएनए, व्हाट इज इट्स रोल एंड ऑल, ठीक है, दैट इज डीएनए। नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए it sends signals to the cells to grow, to mature, to divide and to die। मतलब सेल को कंप्लीटली रेगुलेट करने वाला एक सीपीयू के तरह, कंप्यूटर में एक सीपीयू के तरह यहां पर सेल को कंट्रोल करने वाला कौन है, दैट इज द न्यूक्लियस, ठीक है। प्लीज, इट सेंड्स signals to the cells to grow, mature, divide, cell division and die। See, within this nucleus you have DNA, ठीक है, so where chromatin will be there। Chromatin is a thread like structure, within that you have different chromosomes and the chromosomes contain the DNA। Now this DNA in the different codes, let's say a combination of the base pairs will give you a particular gene, and gene has that coded information related to some characteristic, ठीक है। This we will understand when we enter into the DNA structure and its function, ठीक है। Those who are not from the science background, don't worry, will understand it very very clearly, like very basic से start करेंगे, कोई issue नहीं है, ठीक है। So next point में लिख लीजिए the nucleus protects DNA and is an integral component of all plant cell बोल सकते हो, animal cell बोल सकते हो, उसमें भी मिलता है, ठीक है, integral component of cell structure। So far three major things we have discussed. One is cell membrane, another one is cytoplasm, another one is nucleus। Now apart from that, within this cell membrane in the cytoplasm there are so many organelles, ribosomes are there, mitochondria is there, endoplasmic reticulum is there, ठीक है, endoplasmic reticulum is there। then you also have, यहाँ पर भी है smooth वाला, rough वाला, ठीक है, then you have lysosomes and vacuoles are also there like big storehouses, ठीक है। so let us look at them, let us look at their role, ठीक है, then we will differentiate between plant and animal। Tell me, till here all the points are clear? Any doubts or anything that is not clear? Those who are not from the science background, please tell me, you guys have to confirm first। Gautam, Prem, Kalyan, Sandeep,
clear sir।
clear, ठीक है। Lucky doesn't have any problem because she is from science background। Let us look at different other organelles। So beginning with, so अब heading क्या रखना है, organelles in the cell, ये heading रख लो, उसके अंदर सब headings के through we will enter into one by one, beginning with nuclear membrane, then we will look at chromosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, then there is ribosomes, then there is mitochondria, lysosomes and their role। then later when we compare it with the plant cell and animal cell, then we will cover cell wall and then the chloroplast, ठीक है, plastids जो होते हैं जिसके अंदर chlorophyll होगा, ये वाला वहां पर कवर करेंगे हम, ठीक है। सो हेडिंग रहेगा आपका organelles in cell, then within that A B C D or 1 2 3 whatever the way that you like you can write it, ठीक है। नंबर 1 लिख लो cell nucleus membrane or nuclear membrane, please write about it। It protects the nucleus. It protects the nucleus by forming a boundary or protective layer. You can write whatever it is. Okay. By forming a boundary between nucleus and other cell organelles. See, this is nucleus and the nucleus is closed by a membrane. This membrane we are calling it as nuclear membrane. ये nucleus है, ठीक है? So what is the role of nuclear membrane? It protects the nucleus and separates it from other organelles. That's the role. Next, let us enter into chromosomes. Please write. ऐसे chromatin होगा and within that if you take and condense it, you can find chromosomes. ठीक है? Chromosomes सब heading लिख लो. These play a crucial role in determining sex of an individual. They also hold genetic information, that is within that you have DNA and that is where you have different genes coded on top of these chromosomes. ठीक है, different arms के ऊपर there is a encoding of the genes which give a particular characteristics, a trait in the individuals. In humans, altogether there are 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which 22 are identical, we call them as autosomes, and there is one pair, 23rd pair, which is called as sex chromosome, and this chromosome determines the sex of an individual. If the chromosome is XX, this is leading to female, and if it is XY, then we get male. See, इनके बारे में detailedly we will study under chromosome section. When I enter into, see, in our syllabus we have separate section for chromosomes. That is where I'll explain and what are the different structures within them, and human chromosomes 23 pairs का जो karyotyping है, and if errors happens, what kind of genetic disorders occur in humans. For example, Edwards syndrome, Patos syndrome, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome. ये सारे हमें 9.4 section पे we have to cover all of them along with their characteristics as well. So there we will cover it. Don't worry. ठीक है? Those who are not from the science background, even science background है but इतना detailedly नहीं पता है, don't worry about it. ठीक है? We will cover in very detail and slowly we will cover it. ठीक है? As of now, please write. They play crucial role in determining the sex of an individual and hold that genetic information. And continue कर लीजिए. Each human cells contain 23 pairs of chromosomes. मतलब total 46 होते हैं. 23 pairs मतलब 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now let's go to the next section. Third, endoplasmic reticulum. एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम. फर्स्ट इसके बारे में लिखते हैं, देन सब टाइप्स विद इन दिस. प्लीज राइट. इट इज इन्वॉल्व्ड इन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ सब्सटेंसेस. It is involved in transportation of substances throughout the cell. Stop. It plays a primary role in metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, synthesis of lipids, etc. Now please understand, it can be
Sir, what are lipids?
We will cover them. Lipids, amino acids, we will cover them. I'll explain. There are also components, you can say nitrogen components. ठीक है? प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस कवर करने से पहले I'll explain. ठीक है? Lipids, what is peptide bond, ठीक है, नाइट्रोजन बेस क्या होता है, आई विल एक्सप्लेन एवरीथिंग, ठीक है, डोंट वरी, ठीक है। सो नाउ दिस एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, ये वाला पोर्शन जो है, दिस इज कॉल्ड एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, एंड अगेन इट कैन बी डिवाइडेड इनटू स्मूथ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम एंड रफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम। रफ वाला जो है उसमें, इफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम हैज राइबोसोम्स ऑन इट, then we call it as rough endoplasmic reticulum, and some area ribosomes might not be there, that we call it as smooth endoplasmic reticulum, simple, nothing else, ठीक है। So please write the rough ER means endoplasmic reticulum, rough ER has ribosomes in it, whereas the smooth ER does not have, स्मूथ ईआर डज नॉट हैव देम, ठीक है। ये भी हम डायग्रामेटिकली रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट, गोल्गी बॉडीज और गोल्गी एपरेटस, ठीक है, यू कैन राइट लाइक, प्लीज राइट गोल्गी एपरेटस, ये वाला। सी व्हाट इज द प्राइम रोल ऑफ देम, दीज आर लाइक पोस्टमैन, व्हाट दे डू, दे इन्वॉल्व इन द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ द मटेरियल विद इन द सेल, कहीं विद इन द सेल, कहीं एक जगह से दूसरा जगह पे कुछ मटेरियल को लेकर जाना है तो ये वहां पर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में काम आता है, प्लीज राइट। गोल्गी बॉडीज आर कॉल्ड, गोल्गी बॉडीज आर कॉल्ड सेल्स, पोस्ट ऑफिस, ऑफिसेस ऐसे लिख लो, प्लूरल, पोस्ट ऑफिसेस, एज इट इज इन्वॉल्व इन the transportation of materials within the cell, transportation of material within the cell. Next, subheading लिख लीजिए ribosomes. See, they help in the protein synthesis, so they are protein synthesizers within the cell. So simply write, they are protein synthesizers of this cell. Later we will see how they play a role while covering protein synthesis. Next, mitochondria. See, this is powerhouse of the cell. It provides all the energy by converting adenosine diphosphates to adenosine triphosphate, and during this process energy will be released, ठीक है, and that energy will be utilized by the cell, ठीक है। You don't have to remember that conversion of ADP and ATP, simply write it is the powerhouse of the cell and provides all the energy required for the cell, simple, ठीक है। Please write mitochondrion is called the powerhouse of the cell, powerhouse of the cell, and provides all energy required. Next, lysosomes. See, these are like protecting protecting organelles. See, whenever there is a foreign material entering into the cell, they attack them, ठीक है, and they also help in the revival of this cell. So that's why sometimes we call them as suicide cells, because they attack and they also die along with them, ठीक है। So please write lysosomes. They protect the cell by engulfing the foreign bodies and help in cell revival, ठीक है। दिस आर ऑल लाइसोसोम्स, यहां पर है ना, दे आर नोन एज सेल्स सुसाइड बॉम्ब बैग्स, जैसे सुसाइड बॉम्बर के जैसे, ठीक है, स्लीपर सेल, सुसाइड बैग्स। नाउ दिस आर ऑल द डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनेल्स विद इन द सेल। अब सेल का डायग्राम डालना होगा, दैट यहां पर आई विल मेक इट एंड यू आल्सो मेक इट, देन लेटर वी विल सी प्लांट सेल वर्सेस एनिमल सेल। सो डायग्राम बना लो, ठीक है। जरूरी नहीं कि इसी शेप में बनाना है, यू कैन मेक इट लाइक अदर शेप आल्सो, ठीक है। दिस इज आई एम मेकिंग सेल मेम्ब्रेन हियर, ठीक है। कोई भी स्ट्रक्चर में जैसे बनाना चाहते हो वैसे बनाओ। सो सेल मेम्ब्रेन सबसे फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वाले कवर कर लेते हैं, देन देयर इज न्यूक्लियस, ठीक है, and nucleus is also covered with nucleus membrane, ठीक है। So this is nucleus, and this is nucleus, न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन। पैरेलली बनाओ, पता चल जाएगा कैसे बनाना है, कैसे लिखना है। नाउ देर इज साइटोप्लाज्म, ये वाला बाद में भरेंगे इसको, ठीक है। नाउ विद इन दिस वी नीड टू शो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनेल्स। से एक है गोल्गी apparatus, ठीक है। यू कैन ड्रॉ देम लाइक दिस, ऐसे दिखा सकते हो। अच्छा, एक पॉइंट भूल गया है, वैक्यूल्स करके, दैट आई विल डिस्कस इट, ठीक है। यहां पर ही इसमें ऐड करना था एक और लाइजोसोम्स करके, थोड़ा जगह है तो रख लेना, वहां पर ऐड करेंगे आप। वैक्यूल्स भूल गया है, ठीक है। गोल्गी apparatus, ठीक है। देन सेल को टच करते हुए वी विल ड्रॉ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम। ज्यादा ड्रॉ करने की जरूरत नहीं, इतना एक आइडिया होना चाहिए। उसमें कुछ जगह पे लेट्स पुट राइबोसोम्स एंड मेक इट एज रफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, एंड दूसरा वाला स्मूथ। जहां पर राइबोसोम्स नहीं है दैट इज स्मूथ ईआर। ईआर का मतलब मैं फुल फॉर्म नहीं लिख रहा हूं, आप लिख लो, ठीक है। एंड दिस इज रफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, रफ ईआर, ठीक है। Then within that we also have some ribosomes as well, ठीक है। एंड सेल के अंदर you can write about like chromatin, ठीक है। This is where chromatin is present, and within this you also have the chromosomes and DNA. So chromatin, I'm writing chromatin, within it you have chromosomes plus DNA भी इसी के अंदर रहेगा, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट व्हाट एल्स वी आर मिसिंग, वन इज लाइजोसोम्स, ठीक है। ऐसे ही राउंड स्ट्रक्चर्स बना लो, ठीक है, कुछ टिपिकल शेप में बना लो, देन यू राइट लाइजोसोम्स, ठीक है। देन वन मोर थिंग वी नीड टू राइट इज वैक्यूल्स, ठीक है। थोड़ा सा अलग साइज का, थोड़ा बड़ा साइज का बना दो, देन वी विल राइट देम एज वैक्यूल्स। अभी वैक्यूल्स के बारे में लिखा नहीं है। vacuoles, these are like storing sacks, ठीक है, on which some food or something can be stored, ठीक है, temporary store houses। ये vacuoles जो है जनरली एनिमल सेल में छोटा होगा, बट प्लांट सेल में बहुत ही बड़ा और परमानेंट भी होता है, बिकॉज प्लांट्स आर प्रोड्यूसर्स ऑफ द फूड एंड दे हैव टू स्टोर दैट फूड, ठीक है। दैट इज द फूड विच विल बी गोइंग टूवर्ड्स द एनिमल्स एंड अदर थिंग्स, जैसे कंज्यूमर्स में जाता है। एंड प्लांट्स आर ऑटोट्रोप्स, ठीक है। यहाँ पर वैक्यूल्स हो गया। व्हाट एल्स वी आर मिसिंग हियर, राइबोसोम्स, ओके, राइबोसोम्स मेंशन कर लेते हैं। बताओ, और बताओ क्या मिस कर रहे हैं हम।
माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया,
हाँ, माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, वेरी गुड। माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया को थोड़ा इस तरीके से मेंशन कर लो, क्योंकि उसका स्ट्रक्चर में कुछ ऐसे ही आता है, ठीक है। नाउ वी डोंट हैव टू स्टडी अबाउट द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, अदरवाइज आई वुड हैव सेपरेटली कवर्ड इट, ठीक है, वेरी गुड, ठीक है। अगर क्रॉस सेक्शन लेंगे सो इट विल लुक समथिंग लाइक दिस। सो मैं यहां पर लिख रहा हूं, आप लोग अकॉर्डिंगली एडजस्ट कर लो, ठीक है। माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, ठीक है। एनीथिंग एल्स, साइटोप्लाज्म, ठीक है। यहां पर ये जो पूरा एरिया जो है, ठीक है, कैन आई, ओके, आई विल मेक राइबोसोम्स लिटिल बिगर सो दैट आई कैन डिस्टिंग्विश इट विथ योर साइटोप्लाज्म, ठीक है। यहां पर सेंटर में ये जो पोर्शन है, दिस एंटायर प्लेस वेयर ऑल दिस ऑर्गेनेल्स आर प्रेजेंट इज कॉल्ड व्हाट, साइटोप्लाज्म, साइटोप्लाज्म, ठीक है। इमेज क्लियरली आ रहा है ना, कोई डाउट तो नहीं है ना। सो दिस इज ए स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ए टिपिकल सेल। तो डिफिकल्ट तो नहीं है ना बनाना, वैसे भी सेल स्ट्रक्चर के बारे में क्वेश्चन तो नहीं आता है एग्जाम में, इतना सिंपल नहीं पूछेंगे। नाउ यहां पर ऑर्गेनेल्स में एक चीज मिस हो गया हमसे, दैट इज वैक्यूल, ठीक है। एक काम कर लो, वैक्यूल करके सब हेडिंग लिख लो, वहीं पर कहीं जगह है तो, ठीक है। Please write. It is a sack, S-A-C-K, sack, for storing food and other substances. Food and other substances. Full stop. It is temporary and small in animal cells, whereas big and permanent in plant cells. Big and permanent in plant cells. Stop. Now, if we compare the difference between plant cell and animal cell, see, look at them. This is a typical animal cell and this is a typical plant cell. Cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, mitochondria, ribosomes, vacuoles, they are all similar. So what are the things that are differentiating here? Only three things that we need to see. The first one is cell wall, which is made up of cellulose, that is only found in plants and fungi, not in animals. Okay, so this is first major difference. Second major difference is presence of chloroplast. So यहाँ पर भी कुछ plastids होते हैं, but in the plastids of the cells of trees or plants only we can find chlorophyll. So this chlorophyll is the one which differentiates the plastids of plant cell than the animal cell. So the presence of chlorophyll within this gives the green color, green pigment है ये, and these are chloroplasts which are found in only in plant cells. That is the reason why plants were capable of doing the photosynthesis. Next comes a big and permanent vacuole, like I told you, because plants are producers of the food. They need big sac to store that energy, and this is the stored energy which goes to the higher trophic levels. Okay, so please write plant cell versus animal cell. Subheading लिख लो, plant cell versus animal cell. इस पे लिख लीजिए plant cell has cell wall, comma, chloroplast and a big permanent vacuole. Big permanent vacuole. इसमें दो चीज के बारे में थोड़ा सा डिस्कस करना है. वैक्यूल वी नो ऑलरेडी व्हाट दे डू, दे स्टोर द फूड. ठीक है, बट वी नीड टू नो अबाउट सेल वॉल एज वेल एज क्लोरोप्लास्ट. सो पुट सबहेडिंग सेल वॉल. It is mainly made up of cellulose and it provides protection, extra protection. Like one layer of the protection is provided by the cell membrane and another layer of protection, extra protection is provided by the cell wall. That is the reason why if you see all the plants and trees, they have that thick bark outside. That is where you are getting extra protection from this cell wall because it is made up of very thick cellulose. ठीक है, please write. It is made up of सेल्यूलोज, अदर भी होते हैं पेक्टिन, हेमीसेल्यूलोज वगैरह, बट मेनली सेल्यूलोज एंड इट प्रोटेक्ट्स सेल मेम्ब्रेन. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट में लिख लीजिए, इट इज अ रिजिड एंड स्टिफ स्ट्रक्चर protecting the plant cells from mechanical shocks and injuries. Next subheading लिख लो, chloroplast. इसमें लिख लीजिए, these are plastids with green pigment ब्रैकेट में लिख लीजिए क्लोरोफिल. सी क्लोरोफिल का ग्रीन कलर क्यों आता है? इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ प्रेजेंस ऑफ मैग्नीशियम. ठीक है, मैग्नीशियम प्रेजेंस है तो यू विल गेट द ग्रीन कलर. ठीक है, ग्रीन पिगमेंट. ब्रैकेट क्लोज्ड. This helps in photosynthesis process. Photosynthesis process. That's it. This is all about the cell, different types of cells, cell structure, different components of the cell. I hope it is clear. Even those who are from arts background, you guys tell me, is it clear?